What's good? Welcome back to another edition of Dat Talk podcast. I'm by the name of Big, and I got my co-host with me.
It was a great day. No, not day. It was a great weekend for me. I'm more mad at myself because I head into the week saying I'm about to do something uncharacteristic. I'm about to go put some money down on sports because I'm not a bad man like that. And this weekend, I should have stayed with my conviction and just went all in because all three of my teams headed to this weekend underdogs, and I would have cashed out if I'd have just took the leap of faith. But I'm really not a big gambler like that, so I kind of stayed in my lane.
Three teams.
Huh?
Three teams.
Three, man. The Raiders got the W as an underdog. Duke got the W as an underdog.
Duke was the underdog?
It was an underdog. They was a 9-point underdog, if I'm not mistaken.
Damn.
9.
Yeah, it was and Michigan. Michigan was an underdog to Ohio State this weekend.
Yes, yes. They finally got it done. Shout out to Jim Harbaugh after 16 years?
16. That's only 5
He ain't
years.
been there. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But y'all ain't beat Michigan for 16 years?
Oh, the team.
They ain't beat the team in 10 years, and he was 0-5. We ain't beat Ohio State since Denard Robinson.
Yeah, 2011, right? 2011?
2011. Yeah, it's been a while.
Man. So shout out to him because I feel like if he was lost that game,
he's been back on the hot seat. Back on the hot seat.
It would have been bad because you got to beat Ohio State at least one time. But man, some good picks, man. Some good games, interesting games. How do y'all feel about some of the games that went down over the weekend during Thanksgiving holiday and past yesterday?
Only game that really mattered to me was the Raiders. You want my truth? It's the only game I gave a real damn about.
Yeah.
That game meant more because of what it means between those teams. I mean, you all know half the world is Cowboy fans, just like half the world likes the Raiders, and then the other third likes the Steelers. So it's certain marquee teams, so like the Niners. So when those teams play, it's like those are must-win games. You can go 2-15, but if you won those two is one against them, that'll allow you to have bragging rights. So I don't want to hear from no Cowboy fans. I don't need to listen to no Steeler fans this year. So it's certain fan bases, you can't talk to me. I don't go down what happened with the Raiders. Y'all can't talk to me.
To be honest, I was bracing for disappointment with the Raiders, but it's funny because I like to revisit what it is. You guys know me when I do trades. I'm like, give me the future, give me the future assets. And so, I think about the Amari Cooper trade. Like, what has Dallas really got out of that? Everybody's like, "Oh yeah, we won that trade. We got the present value." But you and me know who Amari Cooper is, and it's kind of ironic that he wasn't playing, and that he was probably the difference. Him and CD, obviously. So, it's a good weekend.
But let's move on to some college football news. This is big. This is huge because Lincoln Riley, who's the Oklahoma coach, have announced that he's taking a job at USC in the middle of a season after a loss to Oklahoma State in a big game that could have determined a college playoffs. What are y'all thoughts on Lincoln Riley going to USC and leaving Oklahoma following a loss to Oklahoma State?
It's one of the smart business moves a man can make in a situation like this. So when you think about it, Oklahoma's moving to the SEC, and they just not moving to the SEC. They moving over there with Bama and them. That ain't a good place to go. It's just not. So it's like, why go put yourself in a situation where you competing against Bama, Georgia, and all that over there when the Pac-12 is for the taking? It's right for the taking. Like, when you look at the Pac-12 right now, ain't nobody dominating the Pac-12. Ain't nobody you should fear. Oregon is right there, but you have a track record of winning. You've had 2 Heisman quarterbacks, a third in the running. You had one on a ballot this year, but he fell off, and you was able to get this freshman kid to come in to do work. So it makes the most sense. And then the timing of it is right now, between now and I believe January 12th, you allow there's in-home recruiting allowed right now. So with this switch, he has 4 top recruits in the 2022 and the 2023 class. That's all from SoCal. 3 are from Los Al, and another one from, I think, Long Beach Poly. So all those kids that he was recruiting to come to Oklahoma, he can damn near stay and go to SC. So for Lincoln Riley, this was the smartest business move he can make. It makes the most sense. It's a little shady, but that's how the game is played.
That's the part I want to touch on. Like, he literally, how much of the season that they got left? Like,
they only got one game. It's the bowl
that's
game.
it. They just got the bowl game, depending on where they're going to land.
I was saying more shady, Jay, hold up, as this bell rings. I was saying more shady as you all this, and you the rah-rah man for your team, and then you just jet after a loss. Like, I would have finished the bowl game, went through all the proper channels, and then left and did it more. Did he drop
any quotables over the last month or two talking about?
He said he wasn't going to He said he wasn't going to LSU.
Oh, that was him. Okay, that one came across my ticker. That was
that was the only one he said he wasn't going to LSU.
He on the Aaron Rodgers tip. I didn't lie.
I didn't say I wasn't going to leave, but let me go there and break y'all previous little remix. He was on Kelly. You feel me? Remix to ignition.
I think, in my opinion,
it's good for SC though. It's good for SC.
I think it's good for SC. You get another solid coach that can come and change the program around. He's done a great job at Oklahoma. He has some great quarterbacks. I think that's going to be his biggest thing, is having another quarterback. USC has been struggling because they haven't had a great quarterback in a while, like a quarterback that's going to come out and be really, really good. And so hopefully he can do that. But I would have stayed in Oklahoma if we're going to the SEC, because now that means I'm battle tested. That means I'm playing against the Alabamas, the Georgias, and I'm doing that on a consistent basis, and I'm holding my own, and I'm beating Nick Saban, and I'm doing those things. If I was him, I would have stayed in Oklahoma if I was going to stay in college. But I get the aspect of going to SC to possibly go to the NFL. But if you really think about it, you're only going to have a short time frame in the NFL. To be honest with you, you're not going to last that long, because a lot of the SC coaches that went to the NFL are back in college. If you really want to call it spade a spade.
Did they disclose any financial terms on this one? How much more?
Not yet. I haven't.
And that's so when you say stay in Oklahoma, that's like, to me, I'm like, well, one, I would assume, especially with California taxes, that they are paying him considerably more. And it was enough to walk away mid-season and kind of, take some shine off of your name a little bit, just to go mid-season. And then 2, if you can be the big fish in this pond or this lake over here versus having to ram your head against it, and like a lot of, I don't think it commingles with competitive nature to say, I'm going to go dominate over here and I just have to worry about the big game every year versus, getting in the trenches over here every week in this conference over here. It's like, especially you're going to pay me 30% more? Please, I'm out.
Listen, because if he can get SC into this college football playoff consistently, you still get to see Bama. You still get to see Georgia. You still get to see all those teams, versus if you always over there, every year it's a possible crapshoot, and you not on that big stick, because the goal is to make it to that Final Four, however you want to get there. That's the ultimate goal for coaches, players, and everything. So as long as you are putting yourself in that chance to get, because that's what he was doing in Oklahoma in the Big 12, he always had a chance. And I feel like in SEC, that chance dwindles.
The recruiting piece of it too has to be big, right? So if you SEC and you're sitting here with all these kids, and then now you can differentiate yourself by saying we West Coast. Then that's big, dog.
Because you got.
If you think about it, it doesn't matter. The recruitment, what matters about the coach. It's the coaching at the end of the day.
But it don't hurt.
Nick Saban gonna get people from Alabama, LA.
Saban gonna get them.
You're gonna get those people. But my thing is, on a competitive aspect, if you can hold your own in the SEC, you can definitely get a job in the NFL if you want to. My thing is with the USC program, it's a rebuilding program. You're going to have to start from the ground up. And so you're talking about, if you're trying to get to the NFL, you're talking about 2 to 3 more years, because you got to make sure you're coming in with a solid top-notch quarterback. That's been SC's issue. No quarterback play and no defense. They struggled on those passes, and then they had some off-the-field issues as well. And so I think SC needs to rebuild, and the Pac-12 is going through a rebuilding phase. You really got a few solid teams in the Pac-12. You got Oregon State, and you got some mid tiers.
Utah's usually pretty.
And you have possibly UCLA, who had their first winning season in the last 3 to 4 years. So they're in the rebuilding phase as well. So you going over there and dominating may not look as well as you dominating over at
he wasn't dominating over there. So I just call it what it is.
But anyway, man, we'll see how that unravels. I just feel like it's kind of messed up. You leave right after you lose to Oklahoma State. You make that announcement. I would have just waited to the end of the season, finished out with my kids. I think kids take that personal. You know, you're like, damn, you just leave after we lose. Like, that's cold. Like, that's cold.
It's recruiting, bait. He had to do, because by the time the season ends and the bowl game ends, or whatever bowl game they end up playing in, you lose out on all those many days to go make them home.
I would assume his hand was forced, and he just said, "I'm going to take this one on the chin, even if it don't look too good. I'm just going to have to eat this one," especially from a recruiting standpoint. So that rebuild ain't as long. Like, it's cut in half if you winning those fringe players. And they're migrating and decommitting and stuff.
And we got some decommits from Oklahoma. Decommitts from Oklahoma already. The top quarterback from Los Angeles has already decommitted. And like I said, man, this is gonna get interesting.
Definitely gonna get interesting. But let's move on to the LA Rams, man. The Hollywood that don't have no more movies left to show. They have been struggling. They have been in a tear. Stafford has been looking like Stafford in Detroit again. The last 5 games, he threw 5 interceptions, 1 for a touchdown, a pick 6 yesterday in the Green Bay's game. What do y'all see? What's going on with Stafford? Is it the coaching? Is it the offense? Is it a little bit of everything? What's going on in LA?
Go ahead.
Let me lead, bro. Go ahead, baby. This one, and I'm gonna keep it short and brief. I think that the expectations and the difference between him and Goff was overrated. The arm talent is first class, and it is, but just as Bake was getting into all the different elements of being a quarterback, right? Reading your progressions, arm talent, the system around you, the coaching, the athleticism, all of it. So when I put them all down on a piece of paper and I'm sitting here breaking down the difference between Goff and Stafford, that difference is arm talent. Dog, arm talent and working that last layer of throwing the deep ball. And so, but mistake prone, like, I'm not seeing enough of the tangible differences to everybody going goo gaga over Stafford. So to me, it's expectations. What were your expectations going in? Because I'm not seeing anything that I quite frankly didn't expect to see. So
for me, you got this.
Well, I was just going to say, I want to make sure we throw out there it's not Odell's fault because he just got there, because you know how that narrative gets spun quickly, right? I'm just saying, we're going to call it what it is. So that's that. Next, I'm going to flip to the other side of the ball. We ain't even going to focus on offense. Where's Aaron Donald? Ain't really heard too much from him this year. You add Von Miller. The Packers are missing both tackles. They didn't show up. Devontae Adams had Jalen Ramsey looking real regular. And that's just kind of what I'm looking at. Their defense is not playing up to par either. So we can attack the offense and talk about Stafford and what he lacks, but Stafford is damn near Lions West Coast right now. Solid offense, defense give up the cheeks. And the defense is supposed to be the staple of that team. So that's where they need to start looking at. I mean, I really didn't believe in Stafford to begin with. It looked real good to come out because they was out there just throwing the ball around. But Jay pointed out, McVay is one of those coaches that teams figure out a way to get a read on. His offense becomes very monotonous. It becomes very predictable. He's always in 3 receiver sets, so you know what personnel you're dealing with. And it's only so many plays you're going to be able to run out of these sets. He runs the same zone scheme that he's been running with Gurley. He just tries to get cute with the passing game.
When it works, it's unstoppable. And then when you get a beat on it, he's too stubborn to come out of it and to, put some more regular vanilla in there and mix and match. There's an ego associated with, I'm gonna out cute you, and I don't know how to stop once you catch me, in a rhythm.
Exactly. And so that's with me, because like I said, I watch it extensively, and I'm just looking at the scheme. I'm like, this is it. You're going to get a jet sweep. You're going to get a play action. You're going to get Cooper Kupp over the middle. You feel me? It's not a lot. And if I'm able to sit there and watch it and dissect it, and I'm just watching, just imagine what the dudes who got all access to everything is doing.
Right.
So
I think it's a little bit of both. Stafford with the bad reads, but mostly I think the pressure that McVay is putting on them. The Rams are not a running football team no more. They don't run the football enough, and it's all pass. And they've been a great team when they've been balanced, where they can hit you with the play action, when they can run the football, and it can keep the defense honest. And right now, they just going back to this drop back kind of offense, and it becomes very, very predictable. And Stafford, he's not the best quarterback. He's a solid quarterback. When he has time, he can make the throws. He can do all those things. And when the defense, is honest, you can play better. But my thing is that they have no running game. They're not running the football. It's like the Colts, where you got a man who went for a record-breaking game, and then the next week he don't even have damn near rushes.
You got to understand that though. The Bucs defense is number one rusher. If
you pay attention, he only had 5 attempts for 18 yards.
You know what? Here's why, and it's more than the name. Cam Akers really hurt them.
It does.
Cam Akers looks ripe and prime, ready to go, but even more than Cam Akers, the name and the potential explosion on talent, it allowed him to get away from it. So now you don't have a name, you don't have a mouth to feed who's going to be expecting a contract year. So now, because he's free willy-nilly to just sit there and go do his own thing, and I got this new toy with Stafford, and the emphasis is out there. So and it goes back to Baltimore, and why I said they should have probably been looking at Odell is because Odell, the name, puts pressure on you to work outside the numbers. And with Cam Akers being lost, there was a synergy associated with what Todd Gurley was doing.
But Henderson is a solid,
solid,
but he's a really solid quarterback that can get things done.
They don't feel guilty about not giving him no touches.
And that's where the problem is.
Coach thing. If you got something that's working, if you got something that's flowing, let the man touch the football. Keep the defense honest. And that's what's the issues. And then if we get to the defense with the Rams, no pressure. They're giving up touchdowns. I saw Davante Adams catch a pass with 3 people on him. Like, I don't know what kind of coverage they was playing with 3 people on him, and you still let them catch it. And so the defense looks atrocious right now. And I don't know what's going on. They got Von Miller. They got 2 of the best pass rushers in the game.
Let me tell you.
And it's just not working.
Let me speak to that. To me, what they are is they're a team. Like they're winning the PR battle. They're keeping up with the Joneses. They're spending all this money on a credit card, and they thinking it's going to lead to happiness. You don't get to sit here and trade for all the names. You have to field 22 starters, and you probably have to go 40 deep to not.
That's what 53, Jay.
Yeah, I know. You got to go a good 40 deep. And what does Aaron Donald do if they're allowed to double and triple team you every time? What can Jalen Ramsey do if there's 5 pass catchers on the field and he's got to check one? And even when he's getting lit up by the one in front of him, like Davante Adams, it's still whack-a-mole. There's no reason you should have 2 of the top 5 defenders in the league and your defense is boo-boo. It's because
it don't make sense.
You need to have 11, and you need to draft and you need to go deep, but you spent all this cheese on the Rams.
And they have no draft picks. They have no capital, Jay. They have no draft picks. Everything has been, all chips have been pushed to the table. And like, that's what I'm saying. They lost John Johnson. People don't talk about them losing John Johnson to Cleveland, which is big. They lost Troy Hill, their slot. People don't really talk about them
losing. Because they run in that credit card and they didn't crapped out.
Yeah, so they are one of those teams that you reap what you sow right now, and you're all in. So your all in ass better figure it out.
Yeah, I think they probably will. Von Miller gonna get better. He's still coming off that ankle injury, and he can help Aaron Donald as well in the pass rush, because those two people, it will be a force to be reckoned with. But let's move on to Lamar Jackson, who skimped out of the game with his hair of his chinny chin chin. I don't know how you win a game with 4 interceptions, maybe because the other team is horrible too, or maybe
paging Jason Gray. Paging Jason Gray. Paging Jason. I need my man to come to paging. I just want to know, Mr. Transcending Breaker of Chains. All the nicknames are superlatives that Mr. Jason Gray. Yes, Baltimore got the win. Yes. Kudos.
It's not looking good.
But Jay, this corner that you said early that you needed him to turn, that you said it. You said, I need him to. That man is woo.
Yeah.
Listen, he looking worse than Henry Ruggs. No pun intended right now.
Dude, it's a hard watch. I don't understand it. And like I said, I want to take a page out of your book and just blast
Greg Roman.
Yes, Greg Roman.
I got you,
yes,
I was ready
for him. You know, I'm not an X's and O's guy when it comes to football, but I can tell you from my armchair, my what do you call it? The passenger seat, the armchairs, like
armchair quarterback.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here like for the ride. And what I see, especially with the Arizona Cardinals, is they get into these pistol sets and they start running and I these powers and these design QB runs. And I don't like none of that. I think the spontaneous running is 50 times more dangerous, and they don't put him in no empty backfield 4 wide. You know, like I just want to see something where he can just play some backyard off script, off schedule football. And they don't do it enough until their back's against the wall and they facing these pass heavy defenses. And it's just all bad. And it's hard to, the only thing I can say is that nobody in the AFC is staking a prominent claim. So he still has a couple of weeks to turn the corner, but I'm gonna eat some crow. You guys hear it when I'm right. And you guys are just waiting in the wings for me to be wrong. So I'm gonna eat this. I'm gonna eat this. And I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up on him, but I'll be lying if I said I haven't lost confidence.
I told you, and it's the same thing I told you about Cam Newton. Lamar Jackson is more athletic than Cam Newton. He has all the fundamentals better than Cam Newton, but Lamar Jackson,
he doesn't even lack mechanics. He doesn't. I like his mechanics.
That's what I'm saying. He got all the fundamentals and mechanics, but his decision making has always been bad. It's just his ability to not every interception is always his fault. And there's a lot of times where the receivers do drop balls, but I want us to see this. Lamar Jackson has 15 touchdowns and 12 interceptions.
Oh, and about 4 or 5 fumbles. We got to throw those in there.
Oh, yeah. We can add those in there. He's tied for the most in the NFL with interceptions alone. He threw 4 in one game. Let's look at trending what's going on with Lamar Jackson, which was just a scary thing to start thinking about. His first year in 2018, 6 tubs, 3 interceptions. He came late. Second year, he had that breakout year, 36 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Then the next year after that, 26 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Not too bad. But look what happened. It still got some ways to go, but he has 15 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. And we have 7 weeks left. I can assure you, you're probably going to throw a couple more interceptions, and he's going to probably get some more touchdowns. But what's starting to happen is people are starting to make Lamar be a quarterback and not a dual threat. And you're seeing it more and more when he has to make decisions. Lamar Jackson is struggling, and I want him to do well because I do. I want Lamar to do well.
Here we go with this again.
I do. For a brother to do well in the league, it gives
good.
Hope for future black quarterbacks to say, hey, if Lamar Jackson can do it, I can do it, or whatever the case may be. It gives me hope to say I don't have to be a receiver, a slot, or a cornerback, or running back, linebacker.
Every other position.
Play the quarterback position. I could play the quarterback position. I want to see more black quarterbacks do well. I'm tired of the stigma of they're only good because they can run the football. They're not quarterbacks. They can't throw the ball. They only get away with it because of their athleticism. Lamar Jackson, I think over this offseason, he really has to work on his decision making. And I always said, stop worrying about your feet first and worry about your mind first instead. Look at the field, see the floor. Only run when you have to. Run when it's like the very last second. And now he's getting back to those old habits where if you feel pressure, he's gone. He's taking off. Or if he do a drop back, he's throwing it to his first read and he's not reading them. Because there's players when they're open and you're just taking chances and taking risks. And it's sad to see, man. The 12 interceptions, 15 touchdowns, 4 fumbles. So this is probably Lamar Jackson's worst year at bat. But they're winning games.
No, let me counter.
At the end of the day. So I got to give credit to that defense.
No, let me counter. Right. I think that you can quote the 3 interceptions to 6 to 12 and where we're at, but I want to peel it back a little bit. And what I mean by that is accounting for inflation, right? So, $10,000 buying a car today ain't worth $10,000 what it's going to be in 20 years, right? To buy a car. When I look at Lamar Jackson, the standard of what he brings to the table, these spies and these zone defenses that he's seeing, the book is growing on him as far as what different looks that they give him. So he has to, I look at the 12 interceptions and I see growth. He's trying to level up and it ain't working out just yet right now. So at least he's trying to take a step forward. I always like Jameis Winston or Alex Smith. I like somebody who is gonna be aggressive and assert himself. But you're seeing it's not looking good right now. And he's never gonna have less than 50% of the blame from me because you're the one taking the snap, you're the one making the read. But whether you want to give Greg Roman 20% or 50%, schematically they're sitting on your stuff and your ego is not letting you branch it out. And if I was Lamar, I'm taking the bull by the horns. And I'm just gonna start calling audibles. I'm gonna start, doing it my way. Hey, I don't care.
Jay,
this is his future. He's letting the coaches decide.
So listen, in that offense, ain't too many audibles because of the personnel. That becomes a part of it. When you walking out there with 12 personnel, with one time with the running backs and the fullbacks, as soon as you audible, it's like
here's what I'm getting at. I'm picking a fight on Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday with Greg Roman. I'm sitting here up in his business. Like I'm watching what happens. Yeah. And I'm sitting here like, no, this is what we're gonna do. And you want to bench me? Bench me. I'm gonna do it like Jamie Foxx.
Let's be honest. Let's pay attention to
50% culpability. I'm never going lower than that. Lamar needs to be better.
But Jay, the thing is the coaches are only going to do what they feel is within the realms of your capability.
Yeah.
And I don't think that Harbaugh and Roman believes in Lamar's.
Give him some air raid.
Lamar's ability to really read and be a QB. The biggest difference between Kyler and Lamar, and this is to your point, Jay, is that in college, Kyler was still a real QB. He was still in that pocket throwing the ball around. That's why he was successful, and he ran as the extra element. When Lamar was in college, he was a highlight show running, and you saw passing. But when he ran up against the Clemsons and he ran up against these other schools that can deflate that element, he got exposed at times. And right now, that's kind of the same thing. So Yeah, when they back against the wall and all you can do is pass and look good. But in the elements where it's 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, and you got to go make that
the
pass,
worst.
you got to sit there for that second.
I hear you. Here's where me and Bake differ, because I think the worst thing you can do is try to place some pocket QB, Mac Jones expectations on him.
To do that.
And to be honest,
people
the quarter. No, hold on. Let me finish. You can counter. Let me finish my point.
Go get your point.
That could be Russell Wilson. That could be, you want to talk about a black pocket passing quarterback.
It's not about being a black pocket quarterback. It's about being able to get out of this stigma of
exactly.
Only can be a running dual threat. But you're only a quarterback because you can run the ball. You can't.
Them legs is what made him special, and you can't not use that weapon. If you don't keep your foot on their throat with those legs as you bring along your passing game and graduate, then you just gonna play yourself out the league.
No, again, I'm not telling Lamar to conform to the traditional style of quarterback. He's unique, but he needs to be able to show more styles to his play rather than the running, because I'm going to give it to San Diego. San Diego have gave defenses the blueprint to make Lamar struggle. Ever since that playoff game, they found ways to scheme and make him have to think. And when he has to think, whenever he gets a little pressure, when he has to think, he is in trouble. And whenever he plays against a team that can match his speed, then he really struggles out there. He really struggles. And my thing is, I'm not telling Lamar to be a pocket quarterback. What I'm telling Lamar is when you have to make the throws, make the right decisions. Pay attention to what's going on and stop relying too heavily on your feet. It's what's been taught to so many different athletic black quarterbacks. Great. You can run, you can escape, but I need you to see the floor. What Kyler Murray is able to do is he able to see the floor, and he runs last, throws second. That's what makes him who he is right now. If he had the height and the speed as a Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray would probably be the best quarterback in this league, in my opinion. But the one thing his Achilles heel is his height. He's not that tall. So some of the throws, he can still make them. It's a little bit tougher because he's shorter. But if he had Lamar's speed, Lamar's size, he would be the best quarterback in the league.
Yeah, because
Kyler already is the best quarterback in the league. But
Kyler can really sit back there and throw the rock and really play from the pocket. So again, Lamar thing is after read one, then it's scramble, and now we in scramble drill.
Exactly.
I need Lamar to try to sit there and take
and
that.
Get to two. No, but his pocket, the thing is, there's other quarterbacks in the league that have I would say 15 or 20 out of the starting quarterbacks have a better pocket feel. The problem is when he switches and then he says, I'm going all run, there is no pullback, there is no slide to the left, there is no buy some time and get some backyard. There's none of it. It's either a designed run or first read, maybe a second read run. They're sitting on that, bro.
But that's what I'm saying.
But no, here's the thing. You need to rely on your legs 100%. No. The problem is that you need to improve your decision making on when to use it. And you can't go into
saying. What are you talking about, man?
No, but if the defense is going to come in deciding the game plan is we're going to give up the run, we got to give up something. And if it calls for 200 yards rushing, then that's what you take. It's what the defense is giving you. But the tip of the spear is your legs, bro. That doesn't mean, that could mean 30 yards. It could mean 120.
But the fact of the matter is that he's not able to escape the pocket no more. They got a spy on him. So whenever he just decides
that means the spy is giving up something. Something else on the defense is giving up. When you want to spy one or two people.
My thing is with Lamar Jackson, I'm not telling the man to not use your gifts. What I'm telling the man is to work on your decision making, work on your ability to have a more of a pocket feel. Whenever he's if he feels a little pressure, it's like Russell Westbrook. It's like the one speed aspect. Okay, I gotta go. It's never
Yeah.
like, okay, let me just chill a little bit. All right, cool. Get open. Boom. Because when he throws the ball, he's off balance. When he throws the ball, he's trying to throw to the damn near other side of the field. When he throws the ball, he's trying to throw on a run, and that may not be his strong suit. So the pass is inaccurate. That's what I'm getting at. I'm not telling the man to not run. See, people always think you have to be the traditional quarterback. No, you just have to be able to make better decisions. That's all being a great quarterback is, being able to make better decisions. That's why Tom Brady is who he is. He's not athletic. Tom Brady is the least of athletic, but he makes great decisions. Aaron Rodgers, he has some athleticism and he makes great decisions. That's why they looked at it as the best of the best. Pat Mahomes, before this year, he's getting back to his old ways. He makes good decisions for the most part. So my thing with Lamar Jackson, it's time to graduate. Stop making excuses for this man. This man is going on to his fifth year. His fifth year, bro. You can't keep doing the same thing you was doing 2 years ago. You can't keep doing that. That's what I'm getting at. Because eventually people are going to be like, hey, man, we don't even need to just make him throw the ball. You can't throw. Make him throw it.
This is the last little X and O point so we can move on. What teams have done is originally it was play a lot of man cover more. And then because they played man, that opened up rushing lanes, and that's how he was able to get through, and it looked real spectacular.
Back his turn. They ain't watching and paying enough attention.
And so even with that spy, it was damn near just outrunning the spy or whatever.
Just one person.
Now teams are playing tad bit more mix and match with the zone. So in the zone, everybody's eyes is still on the quarterback, but those windows are a lot smaller. So now it's forcing him to really be able to stare down that window barrel and make that read. That's why Mark Andrews ate so much a couple of years ago, based on a simple fact. A lot of teams running cover three. Mark Andrews able to get down them seams. He was able to make them throws. But they're kind of high-low in that situation, knowing that if you're looking at Mark Andrews on the deep seam on that third, that means you're not looking for Hollywood Brown outrunning somebody. You're not. And so schematically, teams are running a tad bit more zone, and then they hit them with man. And when man, they tend to blitz. So now that window is even tighter because it's man-to-man coverage. That means you got to hit the man on the money, on the run, depending on where the blitz is coming from. So it's becoming just a little bit of a mix and match. And because Baltimore is so run-centric, they're able to be mixed and matched a lot easier because it's like 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, because teams are able to say, look, we're going to load up on 1st and 2nd down. We know what you're trying to do. So that's a part of what teams are doing and how that's being broken off.
But anyway, we're going to see. But what I'm starting to see is a downward spiral coming. And until he get it together, I promise you, you're going to see Lamar struggle even more. No. And I'm just calling a spade a spade. Their offense has been atrocious.
So here's the thing. I sold half my shares a
you about
couple
to sell
weeks ago.
30%
No, I'm not. I'm not selling no more. We're going down with the ship. I'm keeping the other half.
Man, it's so crazy how you go down the ship with a team that ain't even yours, and you won't even go shares with your own Las Vegas Raiders,
man. Who's taking the bull by the horns in the AFC?